Recording in progress. Okay, we're recording. And Barry is. Where are we doing? Hello, Barry. Barry can't hear us. Can you hear us? Barry's not here.
Yo ho ho. Ho ho.
What's going on, Mr. Barry?
Not too much.
I was
Got
expecting to see you today.
you
Okay,
did you bring me toys?
sort of.
Oh dang it. Oh, you made some
Multi.
thinker stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think so far, sir?
Well, I was telling Mike, I like the idea, but I printed the small ones. I printed 3 small ones. Took 45 minutes a piece for the small ones. Took another half hour for the connector.
Yeah.
If you're going to go any big with one, it's going to take a long time to print.
It's gonna take a few days
Yeah.
or months.
It,
The
at least hours.
the last guy I watched, he was running 6 for several weeks. Um I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. I don't need a whole lot. I was just trying to figure out something to, I don't know, organize stuff better. It looked kind of interesting stuff, but like I said, I don't know if it'd hold all the weight.
Like I said, I like the idea. I just don't like the amount of time it takes to print them.
Yeah.
Well, did you understand the email I sent you regarding the turn cylinder?
Turned cylinder.
Did you get that email? A lot of our emails are going to spam again for some reason. I don't quite understand why it's doing that again. Especially when I had everybody. Let's see if it showed up in the spam one.
I sent it to him, I thought directly.
Yeah, you didn't send it through this.
No,
It
Oh, you mean like your um
the dowel rod with the wrenches and the color coding. Did you see that email?
I saw something that was like laying in a tray or something, but that I was looking to have it all hanging on a wall.
yeah. Well, take a look at this because I've got probably 60 wrenches that fit in a drawer and they're real handy and organized and they always go back to the right place.
That's the thing. I don't have any cabinetry really that's deep enough to hold much anything. It's the toolboxes I got are crap, and it costs so much to buy anything worth a squat.
Yeah.
I figured nails on a board would work better.
Well, this multi-board seems like it's a pretty rigid and everything. As a single unit, I don't think I would use it to hold much weight though. But once you start doubling it up and putting the connector pieces in there, it becomes really solid.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so
that's the thing too, is some of those are designed to where you can put the screw through and then you still got the socket open to attach your snap ends or something like that.
yeah,
So I mean you could really reinforce it around something if you were hanging something pretty heavy. Um, there's a
yeah,
guy that did like a breakdown between the honeycomb and it, and honeycomb, caps out at a couple kilograms or something. The one guy was saying that this multi-board can handle 30 or 40 without any real difficulty. But then like I said, if you start hanging a lot of that, you need a whole lot more mounts into the wall to anchor it, you know.
I read, or I was looking at something somewhere where they doubled the print size,
Mm-hmm.
and that increases strength too. So
Make it thicker.
make
Well,
it,
that's what I was thinking too, is because I looked at the honeycomb a little bit and I said, well, the honeycomb's an earlier design because I mean it's like 3 or 4 years old.
yeah,
Um, you could really and honestly make the honeycomb pattern thicker and design it a different model that it would reinforce it heavier. Because I think structurally honeycomb's a little bit more stronger,
more,
but
yeah,
um, but the reason the multi-board works so well is because the way it's not, square to square to square to square. It's the octagon, and then they have that extra space for the bolt holes or
yep.
the screw and thing. So you really reinforce it between like each square.
And my two large pegboard hooks that don't fit in my pegboard fit in this just fine.
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
guessing you have a metric pegboard.
I don't know. I walked in. It's on the back of the Harbor Freight
Yeah.
thing, right? I walked into Harbor Freight and said, "I need pegboards
They don't fit.
for your thing." Yeah, okay. Here you go. I came home and they're all too large. I mean, every last thinking one of them's too large. And I went, I asked specifically for pegboards for this thing.
Yes.
Thank you, Harbor Freight, for really
Not
messing.
matching your own stuff.
Yeah,
That,
really.
that's like
Why don't you have stuff that works with your stuff?
yeah, that's what I think every time I mess with one of these stupid 10 gig NIC cards from Intel. It's like, okay, well, why doesn't your own adapter for 3.5 inch slot not match onto your card?
Right.
I mean, you ship it with your card, it should take the screw out and swap, and it doesn't. There's, literally like a 1/2 inch gap difference, and it's like, wait a second, what? I mean, why bother sending this crap if it doesn't go onto your own card?
Me being me and not really knowing a whole lot about pegboard, I just assumed it was all the same size
That
stuff.
there was a standard for pegboard and that every pegboard in the world,
Follows the standard.
I was sitting here
Ooh,
thinking, as you were talking about printing that, I've got my recollection, 5 4x6 pegboards up in the garage. And I don't know what that would take.
Well, right. I think I measured because I really want to replace the peg. It's starting to work. It's pegboard. It's not special. You put something too heavy on it and it'll pull right out of the board. I
yeah.
want to replace it. I went down the rabbit hole with Barry on this one. I was like, that's really, really cool. I measured it out, put it in their little calculator thing, and went, I am not spending that much time printing this thing. I will put up a pegboard.
That's why I was looking at like the SCADA stuff because there's a lot of connectors for SCADA and it ain't horribly expensive. But then there's also I've been watching on my auction things. There was a like 1/4 inch thick like um PET G
Mhm.
pegboard panel, that was like 30 by 40 come through the auction the other day. They went for like $8. So I was like, and it can handle like 75 pounds. And it's plastic, and it said it's indoor outdoor. So I was like, well, that's interesting.
I bought a sheet of metal pegboard I'm pretty sure I got it from Menards, and it was $20 at the time. And it's not a huge sheet, but I think it would take two of those sheets to cover the pegboard that's already there. And it would
Yeah.
1000% better.
Well, I've been watching the metal pegboards come through a lot, and I've bid on a few of them, but people keep taking them up to what it almost costs to go buy them. And I was like, I'd rather have new than buy something that might be damaged or warped off these auctions.
Yeah.
But I don't, it's like I don't necessarily need metal pegboard. I'm not a fan of pegboard. I do have like a bin of pegboard hangers or something out in the shop. But then
Well,
I figured I was gonna run into what you were running into. Is like, oh, the pegboard doesn't fit my pegs because that stuff's probably from the '90s and it was American made.
yeah, why would there be a standard peg size? Why? Well, eh, I mean, that's a point in the favor of this multi-board. Pretty much takes whatever you throw at it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
if you got pegs that don't fit the modularity.
Wait, you could print pegs. They've got 3D printed pegs. Boy.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like they got like four versions of ways to hang stuff on that multi-board, and you can just print whatever you want. You snap on. Do you want the screw? Do you want the screw for the octagon? Do you want the screw for the half inch? I
And
mean,
it's semi-open source. At least all the specs are available, so you can make your own hangers.
yeah.
Put a French cleat system in my uh, stepson's closet, and that worked out pretty good because you could then customize whatever you wanted to hang.
Mm-hmm. That's almost what I was thinking of concluding looking at like, because I was scrolling through, I don't know, like three different websites yesterday of just prints and ideas for wrench hangers. And I was like, the best thing I've come up with is almost taking like those multi-board guys came out with a series of their new stuff's like organized containers
Mhm.
with like a slot and doing like a French cleave, but it's not necessarily French cleave, but like the French cleave, you like could be any shape you want that you screw into the wall and then hang your hanger like their things are so that you could attach whatever to hang on your funky socket on that you drilled into the wall and it covers it up how it's mounted. I thought it'd be just easier to bolt that into wherever I wanted it, not necessarily even mess with the multi board.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to stand by it. I like the idea. I just don't like how long it takes to make it.
Yeah. Well, that's it. The couple guys I've watched this, said that's the biggest thing is like you're going to spend some time printing it, and I think for they said like the carbon,
Yeah,
the pattern for the carbon to do the full bed, and you only have like literally it goes like if you print the whole size of the bed, it's a 3 hour print per sheet.
that's
Um,
well
so
the same with the Cobra 3. It's 3.5 hours and it'll print the entire sheet.
yeah. Well, and then that's what he was saying too, that one of the other guys, I don't know if you how much you've dug into it, but then there's they have a pattern to where you can stack it
Yes,
and then run multiple patterns and the guy I watched last night, he did like 8 or 9 or something like that. And he said, yeah, it's not as clean unless you put, like you can lay down a layer of some other material between each one and it'll come apart better. But sometimes it's not as clean of a print, but especially when you start getting the third, fourth, fifth,
yeah.
he'd rather just do the one plate at a time. And he did a huge amount. I mean, he did a whole wall.
The
Um,
the the one guy that I watched who explained it pretty well, he did, I think, 6x6s squares. They might have been 8x6s, but he said it took 3 hours to print, and he did like an entire wall, and it was 3 rolls of filament and an insane amount of time, and it was a nonstop process. The printer
yeah,
stops and you go and you start it again, and
But
yeah,
I think I'm old school 2x4 table saw.
yeah, yeah. And
yeah,
that's what, well, the one of the first guy I watched did it, and started talking about it. He said he was a honeycomb guy, and until he was decided to redesign his stuff, and he's a YouTube streamer or something. He's been doing shit for 5 or 6 years. Then he'd been on honeycomb for years, and like his whole wall was all done in honeycombs. The reason why I was not switching, but he said he really wanted to get all his tools off the table, and the honeycomb won't hold the tools. And he got to tinkering with the multi-board, looking at some other streamers' work, and that they had, like a sawzall hanging on the wall, and he's like, "What the hell?" you know. So he's got to playing with it. He redid his whole studio, and he used this honeycomb for like covering all his shelving, and then made like multi-board for the wall to hang his tooling on. But he had the that feed printer, so he was printing out like whatever the limit of that was. It's like 3 foot or 5 foot
Oh, yeah.
length or whatever, and it caps out how far out it'll let you print, I guess, without doing some serious tweaking. Um, and he wasn't going to go through that. He was just, doing like, whatever the limit was that the printer would let you do in one shot. And, but he always had to remember to come back in like, 8 hours to pull the new one off before it rammed the wall.
Yeah,
And,
that seems to me like that's the biggest downfall to this is just how long it takes to print.
yeah. Well, that's,
This is coming from somebody that spent 3 hours printing small dragons for a birthday party.
yeah. Well, that's the other concept too, and it was kind of funny is almost ironically, it'd probably be cheaper to injection mold and
I was actually
for
thinking,
mass production.
well, I was thinking, we know somebody who has some lasers. We throw a decent sheet of
Yep.
board in there and cut it out. And it probably wouldn't take anywhere near 3 hours to do.
No.
Nope. That's the saying. There's other ways to do it. It's a very interesting concept. It's got me thinking a lot about a lot of different things, a way to
Yeah.
do all kinds of things, though.
But we
Um,
laser cut the sheets, and then we would still have to 3D print the connectors, but
oh yeah, the
Does
connectors.
laser cut a big ass sheet?
the connectors actually are more like they're tall, and they've got like little grooves in them so that they enter. That's why you can't just pull them apart. They snap connect. They're a little bit of a pain in the. It took me a while to actually get them to line up right and get in there, but
Yeah. Well, there's some
once
printed.
it's in there, it's like you're not getting that apart. I mean,
There's printed. They have like 3D printed tools and stuff too for doing stuff with the
yeah.
connectors.
Well,
To take.
I saw the tool that they said would take them apart. So I mean, they have a 3D printed tool that will remove the connector out. The way I did it was with a little screwdriver.
Yeah,
Popped it out. But
it's neat stuff. It's an interesting idea.
yeah, see,
Um,
I think you could easily laser cut the board, but you need to 3D print the parts that attach to the board. Just because it's like a screw connector kind of deal. I think it would be harder to do with a laser cutter. I'm not real sure how you would deal with these little holes on the side, or what those holes are even for.
which holes?
You can't really.
Oh, there's you can print inserts that go in there to attach other
Oh.
panels.
To like make it more rigid.
Yeah, so like there's little like H things that snap into those, and then you
Okay.
can snap another panel to it.
I
And
thought the teeth part of it would go up. I thought when I was looking at some of those prints, it had like the teeth connectors.
Oh, do they? I was just saying, the one of the guy that redid his studio, and he printed like 17 kilograms of this stuff. Um, 17 spools. I was like, it took him like 3 months, he said, to redo his studio. But
Okay, 17 rolls at $20 a roll. That's $4,000. They're just right at, not quite.
oh, it ain't
Wouldn't it
that
be
bad, is
cheaper to
it?
buy something else? I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
it's $340, man.
Uh,
So 17 times 20 is 340.
Oh, is it 340?
Yeah,
17, 20.
it's still cheaper than buying anything, but it's your time,
My,
you know, and
my, my math doesn't work.
that's it's the time, like you said, it takes a long time to print each of those panels. But and that's why the one guy I was reading on the forum was like, just go buy SCADA. Um, because they're about, that, or what was the other, uh
Slat board, you said something about
the
slat wall.
yeah, the slat board or something. It was like you can order it off, and he said, don't go to Amazon, go to here, and it's like half the price of Amazon.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, $25 a panel, at 30 inch by 30 inch or something like that. So it's about what it's gonna, that's still a little bit more than what it is gonna for the 3D print it, because the plastic's cheaper, but it's gonna be form made and ready to go, and you can buy as many sheets as you want, and you're saving, five
Well,
hours of printing.
if you watch on Craigslist, every now and again, there will be a commercial establishment that is shutting down, and they are giving away slat board,
Yeah.
as many sheets
Well,
as you want.
that's the thing I was realizing too, and I never thought about it, was like because of the aluminum, or aluminum, extruded aluminum paneling I bought for like being the bed of my CNC thingy I want to build. That's basically metal slat board, and it's at the junkyard for $1 a pound. So I mean,
Yeah.
you know, they had scads of it. It was so much stuff piled on it, I didn't get a real big piece of it, but I never thought about doing a wall in that. You got to drill a couple holes in the aluminum, and then just hang metal slat board.
When I was looking on ideas on how to display Hot Wheel cars, I saw somebody make slat board, and it was relatively cheap to make it.
But it's still a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It took him some time, but it wasn't quite slat board, but it was the same sort of idea. He made basically slats that the cardboard could slide into. And so it was really the same idea as slat board.
Yeah.
It
Well, I mean, that's
feels
Well, they're very clean looking, so if you're gonna use them for display, there's the advantage of that.
well. That's why I told Barry was really, I have only ever seen slat board used at retail in stores. I mean, I've never really seen slat board used anywhere other than.
well, yeah. So if you ever watch Linus Tips,
Yeah.
he does an episode when he redoes his garage, and he does a whole wall of that.
Okay.
Um, and I was like, oh, that's really slick. How much is that? And it's like, I went and looked it up, and it's $1,300 for a wall. I was like, what? Like four by 8 sheet of that's like $600 a sheet. I was like, yeah, no.
Well, that's what if I want to replace pegboard on my workbench with something that I've already got usable things for, the metal pegboard would do the trick and cost me $40.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a couple other guys do the garage, and instead of doing like the whole wall or whatever and stuff, they'll buy like a 4 by 8 and lay it on its side, like halfway up to where it's,
Yeah.
just above your desk. or your bench, or so you still got the availability. But then like that's what's kind of funny is because like Rubbermaid, I guess sells it now in like a um like 12-inch span or whatever, like 4 slats in it, and it's like $20. I was like, well, that's more reasonable. And if you just wanted to hang a few things, you don't have to do a whole wall in it. Or if you did do a whole thing, you buy a couple 4-foot widths and for $40 instead of like the $600 it was for a sheet. But then that's why I was like, well, even at that price, it's like realized that the aluminum stuff I got at the junkyard for $1 a pound is the same exact stuff. And the little metal fasteners like you use for 3D printers slides right in it. So I was like, well, that's that stuff's all over the place.
Yeah.
And then you can, Allen wrench it wherever you want it. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to print the last piece for this, and then I'm going to find something to use it for, because why not?
It's kind of neat. I mean, there's definitely some interesting stuff you can do with it. I've seen some guys do. Like I said, I've been watching crazy amount of shit the last couple of days. But
You fell down the rabbit hole
oh,
hard.
dude. Well, I'm just trying to get ideas, but like watch it and see what other people are doing. And I mean, there's guys using it for cable management. I mean, the one dude built kind of a similar thing for that too, and augmented it with that extruded aluminum to make his own personal like monitor stand
Oh,
mounts,
okay.
and like attached his soldering iron station and stuff to the extruded aluminum on the side, and stacked it to get it all up off his desk. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a rabbit hole I don't need to go down.
I was gonna say there's some really slick ways to do some stuff, and I just, like, oh, that's kind of cool. I mean,
Well, as we're sitting here talking, I'm sitting there going, you know, our broom, our kitchen broom and our mop have never been off the floor. That would
oh
be
yeah,
perfect to hang up on the door or something and hang our broom.
yeah.
Perfect.
There's a
I'm not even sure I would need to finish it out, just print the part to hang the broom up.
yeah. Well, and that's you can make a little square thing and just mount it on the thing and snap it on and put your clip on to hold the broom.
Yeah.
Because they make some really slick hangers and stuff. It's real. That's what I'm saying. You don't necessarily have to do the whole thing. Like my or saying like the little uh
Well,
French cleave stuff or something like that. They're done in 3D print style stuff. You can make a hanger that just one screw bolt right onto the joist.
Seems like seems like we're all pretty much agreed. It's a neat idea. But
Yeah, Julie has a better idea of storage, but I'm not quite capable of it. And then she pulls the trash can in and starts raking stuff off of the shelf. This, hell, you've had this laying out for 10 years. You haven't finished it, then you're not going to.
that is
Eh,
Patty hasn't gotten to that point yet, but we're probably close. I've got that external closet cabinet area space for storage, and that thing is completely full again. So one of these weeks,
You've seen my garage.
yeah, one of these weeks, a bunch of that stuff's going to end up here, and if it doesn't go away from here, it's probably going to end up at Goodwill or somewhere. I bought another hoverboard and a broken RC car for $3 because
it was there.
$3.
it's $3.
Yeah.
And there's motors and wheels. And
Yeah.
I need motors and wheels like I need a hole in my head.
No, that's more motors than that. You need more holes in it.
I need
Yeah.
more projects to do. Give me more stuff.
So this will make you chuckle. the wash machine died last year or whatever, and hauled it out to the shop, and Dad had it like half torn apart, and I wanted the motor out of it anyway. And we finally, yesterday, gutted it down to see what failed. Now it's a Kenmore Elite front load thing, nice thing. It's like 22 years old or whatever.
Football, New Zealand
Everything in it is high grade,
rugby
super nice parts, stainless steel, except for the part that
done
holds it
well.
all together
Well,
is like pot metal galvanized junk. And that was like what bolts through, the bearing and the iron mounting bracket and everything was all real grade, and then all the rest of it was stainless steel. Then you had that like a little three-way Y that it all bolts together with was that pot metal that basically just rotted completely out. It all shattered like it was ceramic. Talk about planned obsolescence. But I mean, everything else in the entire machine looked like it was brand spanking new. Like if that part hadn't blown apart and ripped out the plastic back end, you could have replaced that triangle thing or whatever and been a brand new wash machine for another 20 years.
I have an interesting story about a washing machine. This was several years ago during the middle of the winter, and we were coming home after dark, and there's a washing machine there at the curb. And I thought, well, there's always good parts in there, motors, bearings and
The
stuff.
round one.
It was a front loader, and so I go over and I tip it to see how heavy it is, and then I look at it. It's full of ice. It has been full of water. They didn't open the door. They couldn't get the water out, and it was frozen in a giant block.
Wow.
And it's like, man, I'm not getting this home because it's not getting in the back of the truck. So I'll get the two-wheeler and I'll wheel it home. And I do that. And when I get into it, I discover the reason this thing failed is there is a separate water pump that does nothing but pump the water out. And a women's underwire from a bra had made it through the big drum holes, through the hose, and had gone down and wedged the drain pump and frozen it. So it wouldn't pump the water out, wouldn't let them open the door. All the clothes were still in there.
So they just, okay.
They just, well, they didn't have anything, they couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah. Chucked it out the end of the street.
Yep. And I didn't have any use for a women's underwear bra.
How would it,
How convoluted for it to have to get through there.
how would that happen?
It was, it wasn't like a short piece. It was, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches long.
We found a way to.
Yeah, flexible, but
Worked its way there.
We get in our washing machine, which it wasn't an expensive washing machine. It's a halfway decent washing machine, but every now and then clothes get wrapped underneath the spindle.
yeah.
And I'm like, how does it get under the spindle? The spindle, you can't push it up and down. How does it get under there?
All
And
the socks go that way.
Yeah, it takes me, sometimes it takes a while to untangle that mess. I mean, it'll be fine for a few months and then it'll happen again. How does this happen? What do I need to put around there to keep it from doing this?
Use a top loader.
It is a top loader.
Oh,
The
What?
center spindle thing,
Yeah.
the agitator.
it gets. I got you now. I was thinking it was the side drum or whatever, and you were talking about. I was getting in underneath it.
No,
Yeah.
it's the
We had a couple,
I don't know what you call that thing, agitator.
yeah, I know what you're talking about now. I forgot about those being in there. The new ones don't really have that anymore, don't they? They just kind of have like a wave on the side.
I don't know.
Well,
Ours is fairly new, but it's an old design. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
the front loader that we have, I had built some stands for it and the dryer to sit on so that the laundry baskets will fit underneath. So it's a handy way. I don't have to bend over as much. And it's a handy way to store sorted laundry. But it also allows me to lay down and get access to the trap before it goes into the pump. And I got an error message that said the pump had stopped working. And I got under there and took the trap loose, and out came some drywall screws
nice.
that had been run around so much that the ridges on the edge of the quarter had been worn off, and some other assorted debris. And how that managed to get out of the drum, I don't know. But the drywall screws are what scared me.
Mysteries.
Get one of those jammed and it would do some real damage.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said.
Are you giving voice commands for this?
No.
That
Stick working.
that triangular piece or whatever that held the drum on when it snapped, man, that whole stainless steel tank kicked over and shoved the plastic into the flywheel, and the flywheel just ate the whole plastic off the back end of the drum of the wash machine. It was like, that's just insane.
We did a little spring cleaning, cleaned out probably a year and a half. Was able to move the washing machine. And there's this weird, it looks like a switch, with, a spring on it. There's no electronic part to it. There's no connectors to it. It's just a weird little push button dealy thing. I'm sitting there going, this doesn't look like anything I've ever had. I don't know where it came from. My guess is because it was under the washing machine, it came off the washing machine, but the washing machine works. So I don't know what it was trying to do or prevent or.
Google search, redundant washing machine parts.
What is this weird switch looking? It's encased in plastic. And so I'm thinking it would be exposed to water or something. I have no idea. There's no wires hanging off of it. There's no nothing. I have no idea.
AI, Google, I asked for the communication promotion really fast. Can I ask anything specific? I asked, what are the commands to control motors using the atom motion? And AI from Google explain exactly the address and the commands.
I lost it.
Yeah.
Mm,
I've had an answer give me answers that seem right, and then when you actually go to
I
do
don't know how
something,
to-
it's not quite the way it should be. They seem right. Everybody want to see robot control? With joystick?
Oh, did you get it working with a joystick?
I actually got it working. Well, mostly working. There's still a couple of little hiccups, but it is. One of the things that I realized about this joystick was when you let off of it, sometimes it snaps back and goes backwards, which
You need to put a little dead space in the
I
code.
did, and I dampened it out a bit, but sometimes it still does it, so.
Interesting.
So we're going to wait for it to say connected, and it says connected. And now I should be able to make it go forward. Hey, work. And backward. And I can make it, maybe make it go slow. There it goes. That's not smooth.
Open my camera in the meeting.
Recording in progress.
Oh. Oh, we need to mute that.
You mute me, okay. Right, muted.
Where's the video?
I don't know. There
There it is.
What?
Slow. And we got turning. See that little jump? That's when I let off the joystick. It tries to go backwards.
Just a little mechanical rebound.
It's in the joystick. I've tried to fix it with. You're gonna have to turn the volume on your phone down or something. That's weird. I tried to fix it with software and I dampened it a bit, but. And then I so when you push the joystick forward, that's when you get your turning. So it'll turn left or right as long as it's going in the forward direction. Okay. If you try to go left or right from just left or right, it really won't. That it's a very sensitive joystick, so that's more or less right. If you push forward and right, you'll get the turning. And I had to do that because I'm using if-then statements to control it. And for some reason, the if-then statements, I don't quite do what I wanted them to do. See that jump? Ugh. She got slow. So the joystick goes, the center point is roughly 130 by a X and 128 Y. So it's roughly the same.
Yeah.
So I mapped that so that it would go from zero being the center point, give or take a little bit, to 128 positive for forward or negative 128
Mhm.
for reverse, and the same for left and right. Seemed to work pretty well. I probably could have mapped it a little bit different, but negative will go left. Positive will go right. And it's much, much smoother. Those other joysticks are,
I like the simplicity, you know.
this was a lot closer to when we were playing with the big robot,
Mhm.
and I had a joystick going with it.
Yeah.
And
But you don't have encoders,
there's no encoders.
but and then the Atom motion doesn't have encoders input also.
No.
I don't.
It's just a very, very simple.
Maybe I will assemble a couple of ROMs, but I want to use the encoders. So maybe I need to use the power and control board. And use another I2C controller,
Yeah.
maybe the Wemos T shield, you know, a little one.
Well, I was thinking with this current setup with the tall thing, I was thinking about sticking a couple IMUs up there and seeing,
Copper.
yeah, one of them, and then comparing them so that there was. It's a little top heavy again. I had that kind of fixed, and then I missed that.
That's why you need to put this so far.
Because when I was playing with the voice part of
The
it,
sound of the motors.
would mess with it.
Okay.
So the further away from the motors, the better it responded.
Oh, I planning to use my microphones close to the motors, so it will be a problem.
May I pick this up and go ahead and move that and see if you can get that rebound on the joystick?
Okay.
Cause, I'm seeing that tip like that. But I don't know whether it is in the motor or because it is
Top heavy.
top heavy.
Yeah. That's left and right. So I made lights right here so we could see, left and right are both
The color of the
white. Red or green is forward, blue is back. So, if we just keep moving it around. There may be some jerkiness just from moving it back and forth too.
Cause I'm seeing the wheel go.
Well, if you watch what I'm doing, I'm moving it back and forth, so
Yeah.
I'm not real sure how to dampen that out. There's a pretty wide gap between center and turning anyway. At least as far as the math goes, as far as the numbers go, there's a pretty wide thing, but on the joystick, it's not so wide. A little, hush. A little draw will cause it to go left or right. When mathematically, it's actually pretty wide number.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah, I think the transition.
you are using small numbers because the motors doesn't move with 20 or 30 or something.
Right.
So
this is sending down. This is sending, negative 128 to positive 128. And then after it figures out if it's moving forward or whatever, then I'm mapping it again to between 50 and 100
okay.
for the speed.
Yeah.
And I don't think the speed's a problem. I think the problem may actually be the transition from left to right. At least at some time. Sometimes that may be where the problem actually is.
Well, I thought you said that when you let go of the. you push
Sometimes,
forward and you
sometimes,
let go of it.
sometimes it hasn't done it yet. You'll see it bounce to blue. The reverse, right? Forward has a dead zone of about 10. So you have to be pushing it
More than 10
a little
to
bit
start moving.
forward. But reverse is more than 60 or more than negative 60. So I tried to bounce out every now and then. Yeah, every now and then you get that little bounce and you'll see the blue light just flash for just a. See, it's not doing it. It doesn't want to do it while we're watching. There, I saw it. I saw it. So there's definitely. I'm afraid to actually make it more deeper, because you still want it to go in reverse, right? So if you make it too far, you're really going to have to jam it back to do it. But I was also thinking on the way down here today that I may not have put the actual dead zone when I was doing it. I may have just said anything greater than negative 60, knowing that the 0 point is actually, I think, 3 on this instead of 0. So it should be like negative 63, something like that. I may not have done that. I don't know if that's a big deal or not.
Well, it looks to me like it was a short impulse, but a very high speed.
Yeah. Yeah. So it jammed down, probably greater than 60, went really fast, and then so maybe I just need to limit the reverse speed to a smaller number and not try to do fine speed control with the reverse. So I can make the reverse go pretty slow, or pretty fast. I don't know. It's way better than what the other joysticks were doing, but it's still not exactly.
So if I was to visualize this as a graph, you're going this way, and then all of a sudden you have a really tall spike, and it doesn't last very long. And then you zoom.
Yeah. Well, and the only reason why I even realized what it was doing was because I put the colors in there and I was watching. I'm like, why did it go? I didn't tell it to go in reverse. Why does it go in reverse? So I kept messing with the reverse numbers until I found a spot that seemed like a good spot.
Now,
I kept messing with the so to get it to turn left or right, it does need to be moving forward to do it. See, that is a change. That little jump is a change from left to right. So that's a change from left to right. But that is from a negative 35 to a positive 35. So there's a, an angle, anything above 35 on this side, it'll turn right. Anything below negative 35 on this side, it'll turn left. And that seems like it's probably in the right range-ish. for left and right steering. And you still get the speed, so if I want to make it go a little slower, I can. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a jerk from transition. So. Oh, that one was a bad jerk.
Now,
This is a very, very sensitive joystick. I had it sitting on the table and I just barely touched it and that thing went crazy.
Here, let me feel it.
looking at this from outside without having any knowledge of the mechanics or the software, it could either be, I'm thinking, if I were writing this and I set it into a loop or a subroutine, and it returned from that subroutine, did it come to the wrong place? And for a brief second,
What happened to the
Excellent.
side?
So it really doesn't have a left and right.
No,
You have to be going forward to get the steering. You have to be,
but you are sensing both axes, right?
Yeah.
So is the software.
it's all in the software, yeah. When I had it going left and right just by itself, it was causing major issues, like big problems. So I fixed it. I'm not saying it's great, but I fixed it. The jerkiness of it was way worse when I was just trying to do left and right.
well, I was just thinking that if it were software, it's probably returning to the wrong place. But if it's hardware, then it's a mechanical.
So I think that there is a combination of the two.
I have my motion, atom motion now.
Oh,
It
cool.
arrived yesterday.
So I think there's a little bit of a combination. Like I said, that joystick is very sensitive. You barely have to touch it to get it to do anything. But from a software standpoint, there's the main loop that does most of the calculations. And then there's the drive loop that runs constantly. It never stops. So the main loop there's two flags in it. That one says if it's turning left or right, and one says if it's moving forward or backward. And that's what the main loop does. The main loop compares all the values coming from the joystick to yeah, -35. Okay, I'm going forward in my -35. Okay, I'm turning left. Okay, I'm going forward +35. Okay, I'm turning right. So it sets the turning flag. Then in the drive loop, it says what flag has been set. And it goes to that spot. So if the turning flag and the forward flag have been set, it will send it to a turning routine.
Okay.
If just the forward flag has been set, it will only send it to go forward. Given the limitation of the platform, one wheel spins a little bit faster than the other, so it doesn't quite go forward,
But that's close enough.
but that's working. And then, of course, if the reverse flag is set, it'll send it to the reverse portion, keeping all the turning out of anything. So the joystick is real sensitive, so you know, if you're trying really hard to push it to make it go forward and you just accidentally bump it to the left a little bit, it's probably going to turn left.
Okay.
Again, the dampening that I've tried to make for the turning was done with the purpose of maybe we want a sharp turn and maybe we want a harder turn. So 35 seemed like it
Yeah.
gives you a little bit of both.
So if you've said you have two flags, and let's say both are set, you're going to go to point A. Now, how long will it remain in that loop?
So the joystick is constantly just sending. So as soon as it gets a change, there's two loops that are actually running. The one loop runs, basically they're running at the same time. So the one group is doing the calculation and the one group is doing the driving. And the flags are constantly changing depending upon whatever the joystick is saying.
Okay. So if the joystick changes values, then it's going to return from this loop.
It never really leaves either one of the loops. It's just looking, one loop's looking at the flags, one loop's setting the flags.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No,
No,
Well, you
But-
talked it,
by
but
sending,
you are always sending commands,
always, so right now it's sending,
And if
it basically
you have
zero.
nothing to say, I mean, you are in the gray zone,
Right,
why are you sending anything?
just seems
And
easier.
the robot stop moving,
Mhm.
if it stop hearing commands, he needs commands refreshing quickly. I mean, you stop sending, it will stop.
Yeah,
well, if I could go back, you said you're looking at two flags and that determines where you're going to go.
Mhm.
Okay. This flag changes, so now you're going to go someplace else.
yes.
Okay.
I know it makes sense in my brain. I don't think it's making.
No, I understand that. I'm trying to think of again, I know nothing about the program. I'm thinking about it completely from outside,
Right.
as an outside observer. And if this were a program that I worked on in the 70s, I know what they did is they returned from this subroutine, instead of returning here, they returned here.
Yeah,
And for a brief period of time, that machine got the wrong signal.
that, I mean, it certainly looks like that from the outside. But that's not real, well, okay, technically it is though, right? If the joystick bounces back. I don't want it to bounce back, it is getting the wrong signal.
So it's coming out of this, not coming back to here, it's coming back to another location. It's just sending it to a different point for a short period of time, and then it's returning again.
So maybe my dampening of 60 isn't quite sufficient enough and it needs to be 65 or 70.
You know what? I don't, I won't split the program. You are splitting the logic in both, ESP32. I mean,
Not
this
really.
one only receive two values,
Yes,
one for each PWM thing or to each channel, you know? You don't need to do any math in here. You just send everything from here. I mean, you inside the range here
yeah.
and the minimum, maximum, everything. You only develop software in one side. The other side is,
Well, I, the original joystick code, that's, the joystick did all the math and sent it. I don't know why I did it.
yeah, because you need to change the program here and change the program here if you want to adjust.
Well, this program's only sending two values. It's sending the X and the Y.
Yeah,
So
this,
anything that-
here is a program that interpret those values and move the motors.
Yeah,
I'm asking not to translate the values here. Just he's a dumb controller. Just I hear this value, I put this value in the motor. I do nothing with the value. So you can develop your program, everything in your side, because the other controller is dumb.
well,
He do exactly what you say. You send one
See-
value and the other value.
see, I'm thinking the same way, but backwards. I was thinking the joystick's dumb. It's just sending two values. The robot is making the decision about what those values mean.
Yeah.
Well, but you are developing the program in both sides. Each time you change something, you need to adjust the other one.
I'm not planning on changing anything in
Okay.
here
Okay.
because
What
May-
if you want to
maybe-
increase your grade zone or reduce the
Yeah.
grade zone or change the sensitivity of your program to the move faster? So you are developing the program in this side.
yeah,
That's why I rather want to have the other side just
be
dumb.
dumb.
Just I send two values and do it.
Yeah,
I have a question for you too.
I,
Joystick goes forward.
yes. In theory,
In theory, joystick goes forward, it goes over a particular value and you say send the signal.
Mhm.
Okay, do you do a count on that? It goes forward for longer than, it goes backward for longer than,
Yeah,
okay?
no. I,
So.
it's not that sophisticated.
But if you're having a physical rebound, that would solve it.
It
Yeah.
definitely would solve it for the reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you're, and I don't know how long that rebound lasts.
yeah,
But
me,
you could
me
put
either.
a count in there if the joystick is reverse
For,
1001, 1002.
yeah.
Well, obviously you don't wear it.
Well, 1,000
I-
1,000 is a second, that would be pretty long in
Yeah. If you were flying,
milliseconds.
if you were driving down the car, you'd have to turn 2 blocks early.
Yeah. No, that's not a bad idea, and I actually considered doing everything
You
over
can have a
here.
function for each value,
Yeah,
a PID function. Just you say the values, filter. You know, it doesn't matter. You move a lot the stick, the values goes.
That's
through
what-
the algorithm and it receives.
that's what
Right,
this needs. This needs like a common filter on it or
Okay.
something to
Okay.
keep the jitteriness out of it.
Okay.
But if I'm still just sending negative 128 to positive 128, that doesn't really change anything over here, right? It just changes how it filters what it's sending.
You know that the range of operation is maybe 40 to
It's about 50 to about
55
100.
each motor.
Yeah,
Okay, you have those values, but you have those values, those
Yeah.
settings here. It doesn't
Yeah.
analyze the values. What value do you want? Okay, This is for this motor, this will to the motor.
That's,
No, I mean,
That's
it's easy to
what-
develop software just in one side, and the robot is just waiting for your new program,
well,
your new way of driving it, but in your side. You just, it's like a wire, it's a wire to move the motor. The
The-
wire don't think anything about what you're doing.
those other joysticks that I had to drive it, that's what this was doing all the work. It
Okay,
was
so-
sending like 4 or
You
5
put
numbers.
here the dampers,
Yeah,
whatever you want to slow down any movement, but in your side of the program. The other side, just you can make several safety decisions. I mean, if you don't receive a value in 100 milliseconds, stop.
well,
Okay. Or whatever.
what I had done on with the other ones was I had a third flag that if this disappeared for whatever reason,
Stop.
it just, everything was set to zero.
Okay. Well, how you?
I didn't do that on this one.
Okay.
This
What means disappear?
this one will go run rampant if that disappears right now.
You have to count the time from the last command.
Yeah.
And if there are 100 milliseconds
Well-
without any non-orders, okay, I stop.
You know,
I'm alone.
it's using ESP now, so there's already a flag with ESP now. If it loses its connection,
Yeah,
that flag's already set, so you just gotta check to
Yeah.
see if that flag's set. And if it is, you go, everything's zero. We don't care, everything's zero.
Stop.
Yeah, and if it takes a 1/10 of a second to realize it or whatever, I'm sure it's gonna roll a little, but it's going to stop. It's not going to go mad crazy.
I can just visualize the captain is in the wheelhouse and he's got a lever and he goes ding, ding, ding.
yeah.
The people in
This,
the engine.
Forward, backward.
this guy can be connected to several bumpers or distance things. So when you say go forward, you say I can. I
Right,
have something in front of me or whatever, but this can be here, or maybe here.
well, that was
Must be here.
that was one reason why I put. Honestly, that was one reason why I moved all the logic code back over to the robot, because if we put sensors or something,
Yeah,
it still needs to know certain things.
Yeah.
And all this is dumb. It's just sending 128 or
Yeah.
negative 128.
That's the wheelhouse. This is the engine room.
Yeah. Yeah, so
you can do
I
that also. You can work in this side, but I'd rather be connected to this part than this one. This guy want to go around, so I don't want to change the software on it because he's moving.
Yeah.
You know?
I understand. I've done it both ways. I mean, I've done it both. When we were playing with the big robot, Mark's robot,
Uh-huh.
that's exactly what I did. I made sure that whatever, if it lost connection with this, that robot was going to stop, and it was going to stop immediately. It wasn't going to mess around, because that thing stood yay tall, and it would hurt somebody if it hit you at 6 miles an hour. This, it's a toy.
Now,
But I've done it both ways. That joystick, the original joystick for that, had all the code on here. It was doing everything, and that robot was just as dumb as a box of rocks, except for the logic that if it lost connection,
Stop.
it stopped.
But you can add to the logic the sensors.
Yeah.
Also. Just for safety.
again, I'm having to laugh at
And a big red button to stop.
doing it both places, and now you have Hal, who's schizophrenic.
Wait.
Voices are talking to me.
This this code, this code actually was modeled after Mark's code, but I moved everything. I made this dumb and I moved everything over here. It in my mind, it just made sense to do it. That's just sending, you know, two numbers. Everything that I needed to make sure worked, I just changed the code here and re-uploaded the code. I didn't mess with the code over here because it's just
And
sending
then
two
you can,
numbers.
and then you can move all the code here.
Yeah.
But for developing, I rather have my computer aside the
Mark's,
static device.
yeah. Mark's robot. Well, its joystick did have a reverse. I didn't implement the reverse in that for whatever reason. I'm not real sure why, but I didn't. And it was sending like 5 or 6 different values across the connection. I just thought it would be faster if it was just messing with 2. I don't know if it is. That's just me thinking.
And I can see how that would be a very valid way of thinking about it.
And plus, you know, once I work out a couple of the other things and we could add some safety stuff into it. That's all. The safety stuff's all going to be on the robot because, you know, you don't want that to send safety commands. I might implement a push button here because it's got a push button and you could maybe use the push button as a kind of an e-stop. But once you let off, it would go back to not being stop.
Well,
Oh, I think the battery on that died. Or did we turn it off? The battery died. Nope, the battery's back.
when you talk about joysticks and interlocks and stuff, I'm reminded of the oil well drilling platform several years ago with Verizon. And they had a joystick that controlled
Yeah, it
the
needs to be
line going
charged.
up and down. And they had engaged the Oculus, which was a rubber grommet, so they could pressure test. And the programmers did not disable the joystick when the Oculus was inflated. So there's a joystick on the table, the Oculus is inflated, we're trying to do a test measurement, the guy pushes the notebook across the table, it hits the joystick and pulls the pipe up and breaks the Oculus. So all of the readings are wrong. The chunks of rubber come up through the drilling tailings and people say, look at that, wonder what that is. They do the test and they said, well, there's not very much pressure at all. We can go ahead and do that. Well, the pressure readings are all wrong because whoever programmed it left the joystick active at all times. It should have been when the Oculus is inflated, nothing else works.
And that's a good point. I mean, right now, this joystick is sending. No, if it's sitting on 0, it's sending zeros to it, which means stop. But I could save power by not doing that.
Well, this isn't going to drive into a person breaking legs.
That's part of it too, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
This very robot is actually what I used to test for the bigger robot though. So it is fully capable of running almost the exact same code that the other robot.
So
Without hitting
Yeah, but without the problem of maybe killing somebody.
if you switch over your joystick from powering this to a Buick,
Yeah,
I want to rethink that.
yeah. Well, when Mark's project first came up, I really didn't have any idea. So I made a small robot. It's almost the same. The drive code
Well, yeah,
is different, but
it would be really cool to be able to transport all of your functionality in your pocket. And now I'm going to operate, a piece of industrial equipment.
or all the robots, the big one and this one all get the exact same commands, even though they work differently.
Yeah, but the other advantage is, and my brother was in naval aviation, he pointed this out, that cockpits should be the same setup regardless of the plane. So if the gauge for
Yeah,
oil pressure
every gauge
is in the same place. And if it's an analog, you want all the gauges sticking straight up.
So your brain can reach fast every parameter.
If one of them is that way, you know something's wrong.
Well,
So if you have a joystick that you're familiar with, you know how it feels, it's comfortable. It would be really nice to be able to plug it in to drive a different device.
the weird thing is for some reason, from the time 2020, when we pretty much stopped working on that larger robot, to now, almost all of that code for the other robot has disappeared. I have no idea where it went. I mean, I have like copies of it, like on paper.
But you send me a lot of stuff. I have it in Google
So-
Drive. In my Google Drive is there somewhere. So you want, I can give you a pen drive with
Okay,
everything you send me.
I spent hours working on that thing and I have no idea what happened to all that code.
Yeah.
And so I'm piecing back what I did using other joysticks and whatever, and I'm not getting the exact same results that I had gotten before. And I'm
You
like,
see the code. Who did
what
this?
did I do?
What's this?
I've done that. Did I make this? Did I write this?
Well, usually when I find it, I preface it by saying, what moron wrote it?
Hey, see his name. Okay.
I got some code that has like 6 or 7 tabs. And at the time, I am sure that made perfectly good sense to do it like that. And now I'm sitting there looking at that going, that is the most convoluted mess I have ever seen in my life. And I'm trying to stick it all back into one tab.
The gaming monitor that I found, that is the video card out of the monitor.
This is the screen controller.
But I thought that was a hell of a piece of
And
software.
this is dust or are components? You see?
Show
Full of
Barry this.
tiny components.
Oh, I just hit a button and I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
I hit a button and I didn't mean it. That came out of that gaming monitor, Barry. It's in the video something or other.
Yeah,
Look at the size of this resistors, capacitor, whatever.
Very may have
Wow.
disappeared.
right up in there, that square in the middle, up
So-
right-hand corner, it tells you what that is. And I can't remember, I'd have to look at it again.
NVIDIA.
Yeah, but it says there's a particular thing. May I have it for a moment?
The control
This
board or
is-
something.
G Sync with a serial number on it.
Yeah, you can't really read it.
Let me pull this back just a little bit. We'll go forward this. There we go.
Let's
In
see.
that rectangle, upper left-hand corner, it says G-Sync. Go down the next one down. In that rectangle. So I don't know what that means, but this whole package appears to be a unit from NVIDIA just in the monitor.
Well, it's a graphic anti-flicker thing. As I say, it's probably like your control monitor or board for your panel controllers.
Now, it might be.
It's as I say, of all the stuff, that's probably the only thing in there that's salvageable, that or in the power, maybe. Then you could probably sell it.
That's what I said. Said that thing's probably worth a small fortune.
Well, I thought it was pretty cool.
I think it's pretty cool too. I don't know what to do with it,
No,
but it's cool. It's got a big old heat sink on it.
Yeah, they anticipated they needed to get rid of some energy there.
The
Don't know how it's-
it was an Odyssey. What? Or did you remember?
I'm sorry.
I was trying to remember what kind of monitor that was. Was it the Odyssey?
An Alien curved screen, about 599, $699. Double 4K, 8K resolution.
Yeah, it just the monitor model is the only way I'd be able to tell what that's worth. But the Odyssey monitor, that's a $200 board. As a spare part you can sell on eBay. I don't know what it is for the Alienware, whatever.
Well, if anyone wishes to sell this board, I will split the profit with you.
I don't sell on eBay anymore. I haven't sold on eBay in a very long time.
Last thing I sold on eBay was a slide to digital converter. And we bought it, we used it for a year and a half. We sold it for more than what I paid for it. I thought, oh, this is cool, we'll make some money. But when you pay PayPal, and you pay eBay, and you pay UPS, and UPS fuel charge, surcharge.
And everything done.
Well,
Your profit went from,
we lost money, but it was minuscule. If you have a commercial service, digitally scan a slide, they want a quarter a slide. And our cost was like 0.0001 cents per slide. So I couldn't complain overall, but there for a short period of time, I thought, oh, yes.
yeah,
I'll say this, was there a big board behind that?
What?
And, Barry, I'm not certain I
This guy
understood your
is
question.
draining all the power, you know?
he probably was, yeah. The,
Well, here, I can share my
that's
screen.
like a daughter board. What did the board that it plugged in look like?
Oh, I can't share.
Oh, that's because I'm not being nice right now. I can fix that. Nope, that is not what I wanted to do. Oh, you should be able to.
Say the driver board. It looks a lot like that. So doesn't say that's $300, but I said it depends on what monitor. Because I'd assume the driver board and all that's still good, unless it's sat out in the rain or something.
It's gone.
He took the cool looking thing.
Yeah, you got it. It's sparkly.
The shiny Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With your coffee mug here.
Yeah.
It's too hot.
Mary, you're right. I probably should have saved that, but this was in the category that I talked about earlier, where Julie said, you're not gonna do anything with this, get it off the workbench.
Well, that's, no, I understand. I just, whatever that plugged into, the board, all that part was probably fine, I would assume. I said, I
Yeah,
have no idea for sure.
The monitor did not turn on. Let me see if I remember this, because that was a couple months ago. The ambient lighting came on, but there was no indication that the screen would illuminate. And when I took it apart and looked at it, the layers of the screen, I don't know how they illuminated it, because the entirety of it was like 2 16th-inch thick layers, and there was no place for LEDs or lights or fluorescent tubes or anything. So it looked to me like it was some very sophisticated layer of luminescent to provide that.
Was an OLED. OLED. Organic.
But not, this is very, it's new, it's a little new to be.
Well, a large
advanced.
a large
Stuff.
large flat screen curved monitor might have used an OLED. They were expensive freaking monitors, so
Yeah. Anyway, when I looked at that, I didn't really pay much attention to anything else. I thought it's probably the screen, but the screen may have been damaged when the guy threw it out because it was not working. So I presumed that it was not salvageable, certainly because the screen was cracked. And there was no way that you're going to get in there and buy one at the odd lots.
you could probably buy one that wouldn't be cheap. I don't know. You know, the small like the Nintendo Switch OLED model is, I think it's a smaller screen, and it's $50 more than the non-OLED model, but those it's also, I think it's thinner, isn't it, Barry? Or do you know?
What's that?
The OLED model of the Switch?
Oh, I have no idea.
Can you look at me and tell me that word again? OLED?
OLED.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
It means that dark areas doesn't drain any power, There is no backlight.
No
Each
backlight.
pixel lights by itself.
Yes.
You have a dark movie or whatever, you are almost not spending your hour.
Yeah, I was thinking when I took it apart that there would be an illumination layer.
That's when you said there was no layer for illumination. Okay, it's an OLED. It stands for organic light emitting diode.
Yes, okay, new technology. they can reduce a lot
Well,
the size.
it's newish, but it's been around for, I mean, we
Yeah,
were
but
getting
they
OLED.
have problems with the longevity. I mean, we're out in time. The first models,
Yeah,
I don't know now because it's organic. Some atoms moves and degrade the operation of the panel. So I
Well-
think that the new ones doesn't have those problems, but it's a very expensive process to add transistors in every pixel, in every element.
the new ones are color, where the older ones were white or blue or,
A single color.
yeah.
Well, the monitor, as I disassembled it and looked at it and how it was engineered, it was top flight. Every component all the way through. The base and the stand were custom cast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And there were-
there's no. It's one reason why they can demand as much money for it as they can.
uh, nothing was stamped steel. I mean, they were really top flight.
It's. But those OLED displays are insanely expensive, and then to have it in a curved monitor is probably
Exactly.
going to double that cost.
Yeah.
But if you go to like Walmart or somewhere, OLED televisions are starting to come down in price. I mean, they're still expensive, but the more they make, the
Yeah.
cheaper they become. It's-
Well, that's when China was still making stuff.
well,
We need to do a field trip to Best Buy, a field trip to check all the monitors. Well, Micro Center have a lot of monitors also.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have a OLED one.
oh, I'm sure they
Yeah,
do,
they
and I'm
have
sure
good-
that it's expensive.
Yeah, I did the 360 virtual tour through Micro Center and found that exact monitor.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Sure, Micro Center is going to capitalize on a gaming monitor as much as they possibly can.
Gamers spend an insane amount of money.
Yes, they do. So I got that ASR module. I made it work, and then I got the joystick module and went, okay, I'm done messing with voice. I'm going to start, and I never unplugged it. That's where it stayed. So now I've got two new projects. Finish up the joystick code and work on the ASR some more. I played around with the Moonbot doing card recognition for more objects.
Mhm.
It works, but it doesn't work the way I thought it would, so I'm still messing with that a bit. I want to put a
You need
bunch of
very
cards.
good illumination to work with the camera.
Yeah, it's
Shades and everything affect.
well, and it's got settings in it that if you wanted to see further away, it'll do it, but it
change the focus.
and it's way wrong. I mean, it narrows, it takes a wider angle and narrows it down to something, so it can't see anything off to the side. And it's like, that's not what you want. You want to be able to see everything, but you want to be able to see everything
Yeah,
at a
but
distance.
the size of the image implies the execution time of the algorithm.
Yeah.
So if they need to do something hard, they rather do it in a very small image.
And this is being done on an ESP32, not an S3, not a C3 or whatever. This is being done on the original ESP32. It's amazing it works at all. and it works as well as it does, but everything has to be pretty close to it. So. I'm not overly impressed, but I'm kind of impressed. It's one of those weird things. It's about 7:13. We should have room for another 15 minutes or so. We got the room a little early today for some reason, even though
We
we
have
weren't
what?
supposed to.
The room?
The room was empty, so we just came in. We didn't even tell them we were here. We just came in. But next week, we have the room again next week. The big problem is I won't be able to be here. My grandkid is doing a concert for the school. So guess who gets to go to Fairborn to watch a school concert?
Let's go all
Pappy.
to the concert.
I
Westchester Automation Club. Bro, no.
on the road.
I don't know who those people in the second row are, but they're all standing there.
It's a field trip
It's a
of the
field-
club.
I'll have to talk to Steve, see if Steve is going to be in town. Otherwise, I don't know what we're going
No,
to do.
Steve is not until 1.
I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to email him or something. Find
I'll
out.
be traveling the 10th to where Steve is.
Automation Technology Club disbanded until members are off bond.
Automation Technology Club. Moving to Florida. This is one of those deals where Patty did not tell me what was going on until, well,
Surely she said,
Today.
I told you,
Today. today. She goes, remember,
Yeah, it means that she told you.
remember, we're going to Lulu's concert.
No.
No, when did you tell me this? Remember, it's next Thursday. Oh, crap. Yeah, she did. She told me it went from not being on the calendar to still not being on the calendar, and so I have no idea about it. So I will have to talk to Steve. Otherwise, I guess you guys are free to meet, but there won't be any virtual part of it.
Well, I have an appointment with a vascular surgeon on Tuesday. I have
No, nice.
99% blockage in the right carotid. That's not good. No. I can't look up without blocking out. I probably will not be here next week.
Okay. Well, next week's another, we're here at 5:30, but I think we have to leave like 15 minutes early anyway, so. It's. Why do we have to have concerts on the day that I want to go and have fun?
Vincente, did you bring your?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I have the car just banded because of the weight. No, I found I take all the stuff, the graphic card and the rack, the rest of the rack parts.
Well,
Everything that my son left me the basement.
I certainly appreciate that. I will give it a
Enjoy.
try.
Hopefully it all works. I was thinking after you had the computer problem, you just gave us a really nice machine. Oh yeah, it didn't work.
I think you will be busy trying to figure out what to do with this thing, but
That case and the motherboard and the power. If it had been something minor that I had overlooked, it looked to me like it was a good machine.
Yeah. No, it looked to me like it would have been a good machine.
The idea of the motherboard being able to look at the memory and adjust that, I thought that was terrific.
That board had features that I've only seen in like servers. I mean, all the little diagnostic lights, all of the
Yeah.
little. That thing told you every little thing it was doing, and it would get to the memory step and fail every single freaking time, and it didn't matter which memory you stuck in it.
No. I took it out of one machine, put it in the other, no, put the memory that was in it in another machine, it worked as fine.
No, there was definitely something not right about that machine.
Well, this motherboard that failed on the machine I've been complaining about,
You are sending commands now? No.
No, it's not doing
This
anything.
is charging?
It's. I'm not real sure why it's doing that, honestly, but yes, it's supposed to be charging.
Run away! Run away!
It's like it's. I don't know what it's doing.
Picking up signals from down the hall.
It's like it's resetting itself over and over and over again.
Did you guys see that article that came out about the was this, I don't know if it was a SETI tower or some kind of satellite thing that'd been recording strange transmissions for 14 years. It was, they thought was coming from deep space, and it was a microwave. The users kept popping the door open every time it did some kind of burst thing that was showing up on their thing as intelligent, you know.
I thought there was one in Europe where every time a semi truck passed by, they would get a weird signal.
Oh yeah.
And they finally figured out that that was a semi truck.
The what Wi-Fi or something?
It was one of the SETI's projects that was in Europe, and I guess it was right along the highway or something, and every time a semi truck would go by, they would get little
Get a
peaks on the
So
get
my
a
nephew
flicker.
was
yeah.
Sent to London from his engineering firm. They had acquired an independent company, and they were still based on floppies. None of the machines talked to each other, and if the engineer on the third floor wanted to have something done, he'd take the floppy out, walk over to the elevator, go down. And my nephew started exploring all the possibilities, and they had run into a glitch where the elevator and some of the electronics, the cabling and the power would loop over and interfere with the communications between machines. He'd spent a year and had to
Wow.
abandon
Very
all of
strange.
it. Yeah, he said the British were only good at two things: drinking of fish and making everyone else's life miserable.
Sounds about right.
You wasn't. Look, what the,
Moving the chair.
what is that sound? Oh, my Sante's messing with me. Good job, because you had me go.
Okay.
Why is it clicking? There's nothing clicking.
It's only a flesh wound.
Oh.
What time is it?
It is 7:23.
Okay,
So
time to close the door.
yeah, just about. So
Alrighty, gang. Good to see you.
Do we have any
Take care.
plans? Yes, I don't know what's going on next week. I don't know if there's gonna be a virtual meeting or what, but the room's available, so. I'll try to keep everybody in the loop though,
Okay.
so. I will see you later, Mr. Barry.
See you guys.
Bye.